Thomas and Friends in 4D Bubbling Boilers, also known as Thomas and Friends Bubbling Boilers, is a 4D special episode with cinematography by SimX Erwinks Entertainment and animation by Arc Productions. Now bear in mind, I never got to see Bubbling Boilers in 4D as I only had the 2D available on the YouTube channels. But I managed to keep an open mind and view it and get my own opinions out on it. But let's talk about the story first. On the island of Sodor, Mr. Bubbles the Clown is throwing a bubble party.
Fucking bubbles!
When Thomas arrives at the docks, he sees Cranky crossly unloading materials and crates for the party. Unfortunately, he cannot participate because he has to stay in one place. Salty is worried, however, but he soon becomes concerned when Stuart, Cranky's friend, distracts Cranky and drops bubble liquid onto Thomas. Thomas is in too much of a rush to go to the washdown. As he puffs, Thomas finds it hard to break, as the liquid is making him slip. He finds it funny when bubbles begin to puff out of his funnel, but the fun is soon over when the signal turns red. After nearly hitting Emily, he puffs into a separate track and crashes into a boarded up mine. And Thomas goes through various escapades while having bubbles in his boiler, all trying to get his delivery done and trying to stay in one piece. So what are my thoughts on Bubbling Boilers? I really wish I did see it in 4D. Now forgive me for saying this, but the plot of this kinda seems like a series 8 to 16 plot. Not one of the worst plots, but you could definitely tell it has series 8 to 16 writing all over it. With its crazy storyline, the wacky visuals and whatnot. And I must admit, it is quite funny to see Thomas blowing bubbles from his funnel in this special.
Fucking bubbles!
I mean, who besides writer Ian McHugh could have thought of this idea? Ian McHugh was a producer of Hit Entertainment, by the way, who'd been working on the show for years. And this was his first time writing a Thomas episode / special, and it really does show here. And you could tell that the purpose of the writing was to test out the capabilities of 4D for Thomas the Tank Engine. You know, because I know this is a 4D film, I somehow get the feeling that I probably would have liked this a lot more if I got to see it in 4D theatres. The most 4D films I've ever seen in the past were from Legoland, like say the Lego Movie 4D Adventure. And having watched Bubbling Boilers, I really do regret not getting the chance to see it in 4D. Because it looks like it would have been a great experience. And I've seen 4D films before at Legoland, the most recent one being the Lego Movie 4D Adventure. And I absolutely loved that, how the technology just makes it feel like you're within the actual film. With wind machines, smoke machines, bubble machines, the list goes on. So I get the feeling that I probably would have had a great time experiencing this film in 4D. But as a non-4D film, it is entertaining enough. I just think it's better if you watch it in 4D, which is something I never got to do. One thing I find really interesting about this special is that a remix of the original Thomas and Friends theme, first composed by Mike O'Donnell and Junior Campbell, is heard in this special, a trope that was carried on from The Adventure Begins. And it's really nice to hear a remix of Mike and Junior's music in the show again. This definitely showed that the team was starting to go back to the original roots of the TV series. You know, back before they ruined it when Hit Entertainment took over. There's even some moments in the film that makes me think that this was intended to be a 4D simulation ride, like say the Fantastic World of Hanna-Barbera or the Star Tours rides, but with 4D. The scene where Thomas and the trucks go through that mine and the various tracks in the mine makes it seem like to me that this was originally intended to be a 4D simulation ride. And it might just be me, but it really does look like it could have been intended for a 4D simulation ride. That would be awesome in my opinion. But I doubt that was the intention since this was a 4D film. But I think it really could have worked as a simulation ride that was done in 4D. It just has the visuals and the effects of a ride, in my opinion. So Bubbling Boilers is a fun little special. I just don't think it's as great as many people make it out to be. Okay, it's not terrible or anything, I just don't really find myself rewatching this a million times over like I do with the Thomas and Friends specials that came out in the recent years. Even though I don't really see myself rewatching this 100 times compared to a lot of the other Thomas projects I've seen, it's still a fun little short and I do get a lot of laughs out of it every once in a while. But as I said before, I probably would have liked it more if I actually got to see it in 4D. So if you ever get the chance to see this film in 4D, then I would highly recommend it. I would highly recommend seeing it in 4D, because I think you'll have a better experience with it then. Better than the experience I had anyway. It's a fun little short that would keep the kids entertained, and I'm sure some adult Thomas fans might get some fun out of it as well.
Fucking bubbles!